I don't, have you logged in before into MedLab? No. AHA Lab? No. I know I've got everybody set up because I was sent a list. So, your street number here is 4900, isn't it?
6900.
6900. So your user ID and your password is going to be your first initial, last name 6900. That'll be user, first initial, last name 6900 will be password, all caps. So
So what was it?
it's your,
Password 6900?
no, the user ID is your all caps, first initial, last name 6900.
Oh, okay.
Then your password is first initial, last name 6900, exactly the
Oh,
same. And then when you log in the first time, it will prompt you to change your password. And it'll also ask you a security question. So when you answer that security question, if you forget your password that you reset, and it is case sensitive, my advice to you would keep it all caps because your user ID will remain all caps. Okay?
Or just make it your ECS password, because we use that one a lot too.
But if you go to get in at some time, now you have to log in at least once every 70 days to hold your login. You can log in and log out, but you have to log in once every 70 days to hold it. If for some reason you've forgotten your password, please just click on forgot password. It'll ask you that security question and you can reset it rather than go, I can't get in there. That's the purpose of the security code. The security question is going to ask you. Okay. And when it comes up for you to log in and it'll ask you a question, do you want to save this password or not? Debbie Troutman said she doesn't want to see anybody's passwords on there because if somebody clicks on that, they could put an order in under your name. So always answer no, not for this site. You'll see it when I go to log in, the way it'll ask the question. So. So do you work nights? Are you a nurse on here
Oh,
or
no.
are you a unit clerk
Unit clerk from 2 to 10. Yeah.
on first floor?
Second floor.
Second floor.
And first floor. Like, oh.
You take care of both of them?
Yeah.
I know I seen you in here when, about printing the recs and the draw list.
Yeah. I went
Yeah.
here like the last meeting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We're gonna go over how you put a stat order in. And it's the same way that you put a regular routine order in, but you mark it stat. Because you know how you used to call the lab and say, I've got a stat order, and they would fax you the requisition? That doesn't happen anymore. Also, at nighttime, the recs have to be printed and the draw list after midnight, between midnight and 3 a.m. And we don't fax those automatically anymore. Hey guys, you can sign in and here's a paper. Okay, is this everyone, you think?
Unless Dawn comes in.
Let me go ahead and get started. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name's Sheila Walker. I'm your account manager with American Health Associates MedLab. And we're going to just briefly go over, because you're going to be putting the orders in. I know your unit managers do that, but they want all the nurses taught to do that also. Also, being able to print your stat recs and being able to print your draw list and recs for the next morning draws. All that used to be automated. American Health Associates does not do that. They don't automate it. So that's why we're getting everybody transferred over. So all of Cincinnati is going to be on this. I have 176 accounts that I take care of. So I think I've got 8 more to get done, and I'll be done with it, transferring everybody. So the first thing you want to do, if you've never logged in yet, your user ID is your all caps, first initial, last name, 4900. 6900. I'm stuck on 49. 6900. It's your street number here. Then your password is exactly the same. First initial, last name, 6900. Then it will prompt you to change your password, and it'll ask you a security question so you can answer that. If you ever forget your password, you can click on forgot password, and it'll ask you that security question. You can answer it, and it'll let you get in. Okay. Now, user ID will remain caps always. The password is the caps the first time you log in, but you can choose for it not to be caps when you put your password in. If you do that, you have to remember that because it is case sensitive. All right? All right, we're going to log in and look at this a little bit. We have put a practice person in here. Now, you won't be doing this part. When you log in, it'll take you straight to this screen for Mount Washington, okay? I have to choose my facilities. This part you won't do. It'll come up already with these checked. We have put a practice person in here so you can go in and order things, cancel things, change things on this practice person. Always take the order out when you're finished before you walk away from the screen, because it will show up on your draw list. And it's named practice resident. That was original, but. Okay, so the first thing that you do, this blue bar stays up here with everything that you do. You go to orders, you don't click on it, you just hover over it. Then you go down to new order, modified, click on that. You put the person's last name. So we're gonna do, and we'll hit search. Now, sometimes you have 3 or 4 people with the same last name. You'll choose the one that you want. I just got the face sheet, so I'm going to be cleaning this up because sometimes Ruth Smith may be in there twice. But that'll be cleaned up right away for you. Hi.
Hi.
So you choose your resident.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on right in front of the show.
And this is what comes up. This is the resident screen. Okay? The first thing that you want to do, the very first thing, is choose the unit they're on. Please do not go through all of going and putting the orders in and not choose the unit first. Because when you do that, you're going to put that order in, and then you're going to choose the unit, and it's going to wipe that whole order out, and you have to re-put it in. So that's why it's at the top. Choose which floor this person's on. We'll say first floor. See how it kind of flashes? That's when it would wipe your order out that you put in. So you're there. You make sure the room is right. You choose the physician. Okay. And then you're testing. Now, if you're ordering a stat, you would only order from this column. This is the test that's all that is stat eligible. Everything in this list is stat eligible test. We knew if you tried to order a stat, you didn't know what all was stat eligible. That's too much, for you guys. This should be focused. So if you click on stat test, that's the only column you can order from if you're placing a stat. Right? But we'll go ahead and place the stat. So we've got we'll do an ammonia, and we can go on down here. You can see all this stuff. We'll do a CMP. You go on down, you've got gentamicins, vancomycins, lithium, you've got UAs, and of course with UA, with urine culture, of course the culture cannot be stat, but the UA can be, okay? So we've got these ordered. We have to put the diagnosis code. This will not let you finish without it. Now the other thing is you can put orders in till right before the phlebotomist comes into this system. There's not a cutoff time, but we don't want you waiting until 6 o'clock in the morning, phlebotomist's in the house and you're putting orders in. So we ask you to print your draw list and print your rec somewhere between midnight and 3 a.m. If your phlebotomist doesn't come till about 5, you can make it, stretch it over to 4 a.m. But we want them to be ready when the phlebotomist comes in. Okay? So we've ordered our test. Now we choose our diagnosis. We can choose this way. Or let's say this person has CHF. You click on this box. You go up here and type in CHF. Hit search, and there it is. Or you've seen this number in their charts. You know it's a diagnosis, but you're not sure what it is. So there's a number in there. You type it in, hit search, and there it is. You click on it. So you've got 3 ways. You can click on this, which goes on down, or you can click on this box, and you can type in the name of the diagnosis, or you can type in the number for it. Okay? Any questions? It won't let you order anything on here. It won't complete the order unless you've got this completely filled out. So you come on down. Once means it will be done one time, whether it's next week, tomorrow, in a month. It'll only be done the one time you choose. So if you was going to put this in for July 7th, click over to July, click on July 7th, and that's the one date it'll be done for. Okay? But then you've got your routines. Daily, every day, every 2 days, every 3 days. This is the days apart, and it goes all the way up to every 28 days. You put your beginning date. So if you was putting it in for the 20th, well, we're in July, let's go back to June. Let's go to the 22nd. Okay? Now you have to put an end date. Anything from one time on up, you have to put an end date. And what the state allows, what Medicare and Medicaid allows, is 400 days, a little more than a year, from the date you're putting it in. So what you would want to do is we're going to make this every 3 days. So your end date, click on that, go up here, change your year. Now if the doctor says for 2 weeks, then of course you would end it in 2 weeks. But otherwise, you use that 400 days as your guideline. So we're putting it in June. We could choose June, last day of June, and there's your end date. Okay? This is the beginning date, this is the end date. Any questions so far? Now we're going to go to weekly. Samples will be drawn the same day of the week, or samples will be drawn multiple days every week. Same day of the week would be every week on Wednesday. Okay? Or every 2 weeks on Wednesday. Or every 4 weeks on Thursday. This is the weeks apart. This is the day of the week you want it to fall on. Alright? Then you click on this. If you want it multiple days a week. So if you've got that pro time and you want it Monday and Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this would be what you would check. Alright? Remember, you've got 2 set selections with your weekly stuff. So now we're going to go into the monthly stuff. Monthly. This 1st and 15th, you will never use this, so just kind of ignore that. Let's say you want this every month, and let's look at this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th Monday. So it's going to be every month on the 4th Monday. Now it won't always be the 22nd, but it will be the 4th Monday every month. Now, the other thing I want to show you, let's pretend today's the 28th of June and the doctor just walked in. He wants a draw done tomorrow on the 29th and then every month thereafter. So this is the time you would have to put multiple draw dates in. You would do a one-time order to get it done tomorrow because that's the 5th Monday. And if you look at this, we don't offer you the 5th Monday. And the reason why is next month's not going to have 5 Mondays. It's only going to happen twice a year. So you would do a one-time for the 29th, then you would go back in and put your second order in for the 4th Monday every month. Okay? That way it's going to happen. He's going to get it drawn on the 29th, and next month when there's only 4 Mondays, It's going to get drawn the last Monday of the month. All right? Is there anything confusing on there? You have to talk to me, or if you've got questions, there's not a dumb question. Okay? If there's something you don't understand. This is every month, this is every 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and the 12 months and the yearly mean the same thing. Okay? So, this hospice patient and testing for hospice stay, if you're unsure of that, just leave it at no. It comes up marked no, that's not something we have to have. We will take care of that on the billing side of everything. Okay. You want to make sure if this is a routine, it stays routine, but we're making this a stat. If we make it a stat, we must change it to stat. Now, that would be a one-time order for this date, or it has to be on with. A stat is done in 5 hours, from the time you call it to the time you have your results in your hand. Okay, 5 hours. So a stat is same day. So you're looking at today's date. And it says, please choose a test from the stat test tab if you're placing a stat order. Okay? And that's what we did. We chose all of it from the stat test tab. That's the only thing that is stat eligible. And now you do save and print. This brings up your requisition. This is telling you, please note, we got a frog out the window. Please note, you have placed a stat order to be drawn today. When you have completed the online order, please call, and it's our 800 number, to complete this order and generate your confirmation number. Sounds like it's in the window, doesn't it?
That's a huge frog.
Mm-hmm. There was one on your door outside as we come in, hanging on the glass. Out front.
Got scared.
So this is just a reminder that you still have to call it in. Now, you don't have to call the 800 number. You can call the local number if you're used to calling that instead. But that is also the number. So it's okay. Now, here's your rec. This is what the requisition looks like. Again, up here at the top, it says stat, same day requisition, please call. Additional stat charges may apply. Record your dispatch confirmation number here. So you would write the confirmation number they give you when you call the lab. I'm asking all of my clients to please put the time over here when you're calling also. When we're entering this at the lab, we are putting the time. But sometimes I get a phone call from a facility and say, Sheila, this lab did not happen in 5 hours. I don't think we should be billed a stat fee. And first thing I'm going to do is ask you for that number. Okay. The second thing I'm going to do is say, what time did you call it in? And you don't know how many times I'll get, well, it was 8 p.m. It might have been closer to 8:30 because I was passing meds. And then by the time we get done with the conversation, it's 9 o'clock. But let's face it, a lot of things happens in that period of time. So if you're writing it on this rec, when the phlebotomist draws this person, they're going to make you a copy of this rec. So you've got it in front of you when you call me and say, Sheila, here's the confirmation number and here's the time I called it in. It did not make the 5-hour turnaround time. I mean, we have to rely to our memory for so many things. That little time there will slip away from us if we don't write it down someplace. Now your regular recs that you're going to print at night, I'm going to show you how to do that. They will be this without this up here at the top. They don't have the stat bar up there. You will print your draw list and your requisitions. Now I think the supervisors are doing that. You cannot print your draw list and your recs until after midnight. I recommend after midnight, between midnight and 3 a.m. as long as they're ready for the phlebotomist when the phlebotomist comes in. If your phlebot normally doesn't get here till 5, it's okay for it to wait till 4, almost 4 to print it. But we need them ready for the phlebotomist when they come in. Now, what's going to happen, these are going to replace your black boxes, this book. Second floor already has theirs. I don't think Debbie...
The first floor does.
First floor. And what you would do is if you printed your recs, And today's the 17th, or look, we're printing them in the morning, so we're saying the 18th. You go to the 18th, you put them right under there. You put the draw list on top, the recs underneath it. You can hole punch them if you want to, if you're more comfortable with that. It does not hurt them to do that. Now, the other things that's in this book is what you've got in your hand, the instructions on how to print out a stat, how to print out your draw list, how to print your requisitions. That's what's in here. And also, we have some order forms in here for supplies, if you need supplies. And there's more of the forms back here. This is just your master copy. You've got some of them back in here in this. And we also have a log in here that looks like this. So if you want to take, and there's some more log sheets back here. Again, this is your master copy. If you want to put a log sheet on here, and anytime you have a stat done, you have them log the stat. Some facilities tell me, yes, Sheila, I want to do that. Or no, I don't want to. I'd just rather them leave me a copy of the rec. When they come in for the draw list and the requisitions now to do it, they will take the requisitions with them. They'll leave you the draw list. Any question on the book? The black boxes will go away, and they look a little used. I was noticing them. So this one's for second floor, if someone's going up to second floor. Because Debbie Troutman took it, I thought she was taking it to second floor. So, okay. So any questions on this? What's really good with these requisitions, if it was a routine or something, down here you'll notice UTO and the reason, whether combative, refused. Then the nurse has to sign this. So that means if you've got 10 recs or 10 draws that's going to get done, and Sue Smith refused, you're looking at all 10 of them when the phlebotomist comes with that draw list and lays it in front of you to sign. So you sign it. In the meantime, the phlebotomist didn't tell you she couldn't get Sue Smith. So you're thinking all your draws are done. But now with this requisition, she has to put that one rec in front of you and say, Sue Smith would not let me draw her. She refused. You have the right to go in and talk with her. Or it may have been that the phlebotomist could not get the draw. And again, you have every right to tell them, no, I need you to come back out here and get this today, please, this morning. She's going to call her team lead, and she's going to send that team lead out here to get the draw. Okay? Now, if it's a refusal, then you are going to have to, if you decide you want it later in the day, because sometimes people will get drawn when their families is here. They're more apt to get drawn. You would have to call the lab and call it in. And you may have to put a new order in, a one-time order for that day. So if this is their monthly order, you don't want to change that monthly order. You just want to put a one-time in. If you want it tried tomorrow, you think they'll have a better day tomorrow, put it in for tomorrow, one time. Don't make it a routine. Just put a CBC in for tomorrow if that's what it was. But do it for one time. They may refuse again. You know your residents, you know how many of them refuses. Some of them don't. More of your dementia units will refuse, and they have the right to do that as residents' rights. Okay. Any questions? No? You guys are being way too easy on me. We'll go back to this patient. So remember, this is your practice person. Now, if this is not a download to your system, you're looking into our tower, so it does not slow your system down. You cannot take a person's name out if they leave your facility. You cannot remove their name, but you can remove their labs. And all you would do, if this person had expired, you would click on their labs, and they may have 3 or 4 in here. Click on it, let it populate. You drop to the bottom, and you push cancel order. Now, if I try to confirm, please provide a cancel reason. If they've expired, you could type in expired. If they've been discharged, type that in. Whatever you need to put in here, you free text it in just by saying, we're going to put practice. And confirm. Now, if we look at this, that order's gone. It doesn't have that order in there anymore. And if I log out and log back in, this will be black and white and not red. The only time it stays red is if there's orders in there. If the doctor calls, and wants to know when resident practice is gonna be drawn again, all you have to do is pull that person's name up. And hit search, bring up their screen. And you're able to click, see how this is black and white now? If it's black and white, there's no routine labs scheduled in there. If it's red, then you click on this and it tells you all of their labs and the next time they're due to be drawn. Okay? Any questions on that? Now where you're going to print your draw list and recs from is this right here. You hover over it again. See where it says draw list and rec print? You click on that. You choose your client. And then print the daily log first. You would hit go. And it'll bring up your daily log and you'll print it. I think it's going to bring up the 17th. Yeah, it's already been printed because we're still in this day. I'm not messing with tonight's stuff. It has to be after midnight, between midnight and 3 a.m. And I'd go yes if I want to reprint it. But see, there's nothing on there because everything was completed. But you would have a list of your labs. And even if it come up with nothing on there, you still want to print that draw list and put it in the book for the phlebotomist. But you would not go to print recs because there's not any. Only time you would go next to print recs would be if you had a list of people on that draw list. When you're making out your draws, please do not put blood and urine on the same rec together. The only time you can put them together is on a stat rec, period. If you're doing a CBC, a BMP, and a UA-CNS, the UA-CNS needs to go on its own rec. The blood and goes on its own rec. Now you can put urine and stool and cultures on one rec, because that's stuff that the facility collects. The blood is something we collect. You can put blood cultures with blood, but it's all to do with blood. Just don't put anything that you collect on with something we have to collect.
Does that include nurse draws, like from a pig or board?
You mean it on with urine and stuff like that?
Yeah,
You wouldn't want
because
to.
we're collecting that blood.
You're collecting it, but it goes to two totally different areas to be collected.
Okay.
I mean, to be processed. It goes two totally different ends of the lab to be processed. So you stand a chance. They will not refuse it if you put it together, but you do stand a chance of an error happening. Them missing a test of some sort because it's on together. Because if the urine goes first and the blood happens to be on a rack and no one made a copy of that rec, then that blood's sitting there with no rec with it. So that can keep it from processing through faster. But any questions of any kind? Please don't share your logins, because if you share your logins and someone uses it and puts an order in, you own that order. So if your director of nursing, Pam, calls me and says, Sheila, who ordered this? They should never have had this. Guess what name is going to come up to me? It's going to be yours because they used your login. So I know we have everyone here in here now, and there should be no reason that anybody should not have a password unless it's a brand new person. And now Debbie Troutman and James and Tina can all reset your passwords if you can't get in for some reason. Or they can add new employees. They have that right to do that. Any of those three people. Okay. Any questions on this? No? Now's the time to ask. Now, we want to talk about how you're getting to this site, because this is what the site looks like. Let me hit log out. You always hit your log out to close this. That shuts everything down properly. So when you go to use it again, it opens up properly. Then you go to this. Now I have this icon on my screen. You wanna talk to them about?
Because of multiple users and multiple computers, what we have is a quick link for nurses and for supervisors on your main access screens. It'll be a tan colored button, it'll say AHA, and they'll say MedLab in parentheses right below it. For nurses, it'll be under the column that says Other, same place where you'll see property inventory, and stuff like that. Supervisors, it'll be towards the bottom of your main column, right below, I think, where the incident report button is. But in both cases, it's a lighter tan, so it's a different color from the rest of your access buttons too.
Okay.
So you just click the button, it'll bring you right to this website. It'll open up the,
It should look like this, and then you'll be able to log in. But please, Debbie really stressed that she does not want you saving your passwords, because anybody could click on that and go into the screen. So refuse that when that question comes up. I don't know if it'll ask me if they're coming in here or not. Yes. It says, would you like to store your password for MedLab? And she wants you to click not for this site. Just because if you do, then anybody, all they gotta do is click on it. And you might say, well, that's easy for me. Well, yeah, first time they order a test, and it should not have been done on that person, and you're held responsible for it. So, I always click yes, because this is my computer. They have 4 codes to go through to get into it, so.
Wow.
Any questions on anything? Now's the time to talk to me. I want to put my card in the front of that book too. Oh, never mind. Put that one in here. This is my grandson being my helper tonight, since I was coming out in the storm. So, anything you need to talk to me about that? Any questions? This has got my cell number on it. This also has my email address. I've been with the lab. October 1st will be 20 years. I'm used to phone calls. Now, if you just want a result, please don't call me just for a result. It's in here, and you can see your results. You can pull them up. I'll show you that a little bit. Let's see. I don't know if I showed you the results of what and talked about them. Here for a second, and we'll be done. When you first log in, this is what you see. This is your most recent things done, and as you go down, it gets older stuff. The date gets older and older, okay? If this was your resident, and this was your resident, and this was your resident, and that's the ones you wanted to see, you can click on them like that and hit View Selected. Now, we're still going to fax you your results, but sometimes they're in here quicker, because this is a direct feed from what our processing, our machines that we test on. So sometimes if you're waiting for a result, you'll find it in here faster before it even gets faxed to you. So here's that one, and then we would go on down. Here would be the next ones, and the next ones. And if I hit my printer button and I had 5 of them checked, it would print all 5 results. So I don't have to go individually and print them. This is really handy. If a doctor calls, you can jump on this. If the chart's in care conference somewhere or something's going on, you can jump on here and print out your result or see the result immediately. You can also look at that result on that person if you wanted to. If I wanted to just look at Archie Barnes stuff, then I would go up here and I'd go to Report Inquiry. Now this inbox is what is here, what comes up when you first log in. But I can go to Report Inquiry, and I would put the person's last name, comma, and I don't put all of their first name, I put the first 3 letters, just because sometimes it gets spelled wrong, And if I put it exactly that way, it's only gonna look for that spelling. If I do it this way, it's gonna look for any spellings like that starts with that. So it'll come up faster. So then I hit search. And this is all of Archie's labs that he's had done, and here's the different dates. Okay. I think there's one from January. So you can see this was done at the hospital. Okay. This is a critical, we would call this one. Okay. Besides faxing it over, we would call it. Any criticals. These tell us that this is an abnormal in there, some type of abnormal. It doesn't mean that it's critical, it just means it is out of the line of what your norm range is. So you can open that up and look at it. You could click on as many as you wanted to and see them. As I said, this is the date that it was done. This is the requisitions that has came in with the draws. So if I click on this, I can open this. And there's the slip. There's your requisitions. That's the new way of printing them that came in with that draw. Okay. Any questions? So you can look the person up individually. You do not have to always rely on what just pops up if you want to see everything that's for him. And even if you want, if he's been here for years and you're going, oh my gosh, when was his last CBC? You can include a date range when you thought it was in. If you thought it was in the month of January of 2014, you can pull that range up too. It'll always give you the first 50 records of him, and then when you include the date range, you'll search for 50 in that date range. Okay. Any questions? We talked about expiring orders because, as I said to you, these orders can only be put in for 400 days. There is an expiring list, but I believe Jean takes care of that, so I'm not going to cover it the way Debbie talked it this morning. Jean is the one that takes care of that expiring list off of here. It's very easy to fix, to up your labs for another 400 days just by that expiring list, but Debbie said she really thought that they wanted to keep that with the day shift nurses that was doing that, and Jean was the one that was handling it at the time. So rather than put too much on your plate tonight. Any questions on this? Please go into that practice resident and get some hands-on, order some things, but try to remember to cancel that order before you leave that site, because the first thing the phlebotomist is going to do is say, there's practice resident on your list, because you left that lab in there. They're going to show up, but of course that person don't exist, but they're still going to question you about, they're going to go, what? And they're going to come and hunt you down and find out what it is. So try to remember to take, do as much as you want to do in there. You can't delete that person, you can't hurt anything in there, but try to remember to take it out. But there's going to be some time that you're doing that and someone falls down the hallway and you take off and the system shuts down after so long of being sitting there, and you're going to forget to go back and take that out. So, it's not going to hurt anything, it's just you're going to get that question from the phlebotomist. Who is this? What is this? Any questions for me now? Anything you want to ask me? No? And I can tell you by going in here and looking things up like this, when was his last? But remember, when you put the last name and the comma and the first name, do not space that. Because if I space that, no matches. It tells me he's not here because I put a space. The comma is your space. Now, first 50 records. But you would automatically, if you space that, you're going to go, he's been here for 10 years. What do you mean he's not here? Okay? Nothing? Nothing for me? Remember, the copies that you have in your hands is in the front of both of the books on each floor. Your directions, that's step-by-step instructions on how to do this.